thanks for sticking with us here on Adelante Chicago. She's got so many titles here. She's an Emmy-nominated actor, a comic, a producer, a musician, and a playwright, a native of Humboldt Park with Puerto Rican roots. We are talking about Melissa Dupre. So let's give her a big, big welcome to Adelante Chicago. Thank you for coming in.
Yes,
hello.
thank you for having me.
Of
I
course.
love it here. I'm a big fan of the show. I'm a big fan of you.
This is such a great connection today because we just had Alejandro with the Latino Film Festival come in and talk about this idea of Latino representation in media, in film, right here in Chicago. And you said it just so happens that that's why you came back to Chicago, because you wanted to have more of it. Tell me about that.
I am a firm believer of the arts and film economy here in Chicago. And after the strike, I wanted to come home. I really wanted to rest, but I also felt that it was a sign to water the grass that I'm on and really funnel in everything that I've learned about being in LA for 2 years with Grey's Anatomy, how to produce. I'm a self-producer of my own productions and really thinking about storytelling in a multidisciplinary kind of narrative way that only Chicago, I feel, really does that strong. We fuse theater, we fuse TV, we fuse film together. We're digitizing theater in really beautiful ways. And I really wanted to come back to Chicago and say, you know what? We've got a robust economy. We've got wonderful episodics filming here. We have a really wide and deep talent pool, especially for Latina representation. And I just want to be where the next big coast is going to really pop off, right? I call Chicago the mid-best. We've got the East Coast, the West Coast, and the Fresh Coast. Chicago is where the next wave of talent and the next wave of innovative art making is going to come out of.
What a great ambassador for our city. Thank you for speaking up about Chicago, which I also think is amazing. I want to talk about some of the works that you've done, because I mentioned Grey's Anatomy, Empire. So talk to folks. Give us sort of the 30-second pitch on Melissa.
Well, I really made my own story because I had to. I'm a Black Latina who also identifies as queer, and so there are not a lot of stories, not a lot of outlets for people with my representation to really live fully and live authentically on the stage, on the page, and on the screen. So I had to write my own stories. I have 5 solo shows. I have a full-length play, but also I feel like a big beneficiary of all of the work that Latinas have done before me, people like Gina Torres and her Black identity, thinking about all of the struggles that they had to go through in order for someone like me to have opportunities for Grey's Anatomy being an intentionally Afro-Latina character, thinking about a show that I'm on right now that is also intentionally Afro-Latina. So I get to have that work and I get to be committed to that work because they did what they did. And also because I bring Afro-Latinidad into the room. My work on Empire came because I had a Spanish rant happen in the audition room, and that was a one-day, one-line, unnamed character. And when I came to the stage, when I came to set, I did it, and the writers were like, we need more of that. And 6 episodes later, I became a reoccurring character. I had a name, and I had a good paycheck. So you have to bring that into the room, and that's what I feel like I've been doing for my career and across the board. I do a lot of stand-up comedy. I do that within my episodic work. I'm trying to write TV shows for people who look like us. I'm trying to write TV shows for people who have intersectional identities that want to take some of our traditions in our culture and also meet it with some progressive ideas about how to live and how to be a Latina and not say, like, you can't tell me how Latina to be.
And we're looking at some of the pictures and some of the work that you've been doing. You mentioned Gina Torres, and there she was in some of those pictures. The really cool thing about you, other than all the acting and the playwriting and stuff like that that you're doing, is that you are spending a significant amount of time mentoring and sort of working with other people who maybe want to follow in your footsteps. DePaul, you're doing something with them, and that's my school. I went to college there. So tell me what you're working on.
I went to college there. I am currently directing a student play around trans identity, which is gorgeous and amazing. They will have a 5 Wednesday run at the Annoyance Theater. And I'm an MFA instructor at Randolph College out of Virginia. And I think what they were really wanting from my mentorship is the idea of performed narrative, how to tell your own story. And I believe that we are all masters of our own experience. And I have a model based off of the work that I've done that allows people to take that authentic ethnographic, autobiographic data and write about it and transmute it to something something that could be performed, whether or not it's, through the art of bochinche, through the art of tap, song, mixing on stage, storytelling. We're miraculous storytellers, and I teach people how to do that.
Okay. My producer is telling me in my ear, ask her about How to Die Alone.
Yes. So during the time that I was off Grey's Anatomy, I was really wondering, like, what's going to happen next? What do I do? What do I do? And I was hired as an Afro-Latina actress to be on How to Die Alone, starring Natasha Rothwell, who we know and love from Insecure on HBO and is currently filming season 3 of White Lotus. I'm just a fan of her work. And this show is unlike anything that we've seen before. She really takes the idea of what do we do in our life that if we were to die tomorrow, would we feel fulfilled, and who would be there with us? And she just reclaims her own life, and I play one of her neighbors and good friends in the TV show. But the strike, as soon as we filmed it in Toronto, we had to shut down production. We had just finished filming everything, and we did not know if the show was going to see the light of day. We had no idea whether or not shows like this, which need to be greenlit, it's through Onyx, who's promoting a lot of Black femme work, what was going to happen. And so we finally have an official release date of September 2024.
Nice.
Look for it on Hulu, and we'll be excited to see it.